welcome back to Glitter Budget with your hosts, Ann Jeanette.
And Jess.
And in today's episode, this is our last one for spooky season.
You're so excited.
I am. But we're doing The Exorcist. I feel like it's a spooky movie classic.
It is, and I'm so excited.
I don't know who's more excited, me for ending spooky season movies or for you doing The Exorcist.
That didn't sound right, but yes.
Oh, yes, it didn't sound right.
It is. It's a classic, not just a classic horror movie. It's just a classic movie.
If you were to ask Steve, he'd be like, nah.
Steve's wrong.
He is wrong.
When counted for inflation, it is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time and the 9th grossing movie in general, just period.
But also, for some people, the grossest.
Oh, yeah.
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 Actually, one of the trivias that it kept on repeating was that, like, the reactions that people would have to this movie.
Yeah.
Because of not the exorcism, not the possession or anything, but it was the arteriogram or the medical procedure that they have.
Which was surprising. I mean, I didn't like it either, but like that's not.
I was like, oh wow, they made it look really realistic. I mean, to be fair, I've never actually seen one in person, but apparently medical professionals were applauding it for being like, hey, you made it really, really look believable.
Maybe they actually did it and didn't want to say.
Yeah. I would not be surprised with some of the shit that they put the actors through.
Yes. But before we get to that.
Because we go off tangent a lot.
Events
that happened in
1973?
Something. Let's double check on that year. 1973.
Ah, look at that. I didn't trust my memory because it's absolute shit, but I was right.
I knew that it happened in the 70s, and which was not in the now times.
Vietnam War ended.
Woot.
Elvis has Hawaii concert, which was the first worldwide telecast by an entertainer and had more views than the Apollo moon landing.
Yeah.
Elvis!
Elvis.
And Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was excited about that.
Yeah.
But it's just goes to show, like, that was only in 1973.
Yep. It was only in 1973, and yet we're still arguing about it here in 2020.
Yeah.
And I have to say...
The year that shouldn't exist.
The year that shouldn't exist, and I have to say, you know, certain Supreme Court justices are voted in.
During an election year, no doubt.
Which is taboo.
'Tis.
It's frowned upon, and yet here we are.
Yet there are a lot of things that have been frowned upon in the last... since 2016. 4 years.
It almost feels like 2020 could use an exorcism.
Oh! Wow, do we love a play on words. That
really
was a good one.
Thank you.
That was a good
Thank you.
one. I have to... That's so good. I feel like we should just end the episode there. No, this was actually, like, this movie was really, really interesting to watch. Even though I watched the shittiest version that there is.
I was so disappointed when I found that
I'm
out.
disappointed too, which is I'm gonna watch the director's cut, which is available on IMDb apparently,
Yes.
just like fucking everything.
Don't fucking watch on AMC. This shit's
Do
edited to
not.
death.
It is edited for content and not for time. But you know what they do? They put in fucking commercials every few minutes.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but they put in, like, there's short commercials that might be like one's like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they'll put in
Well,
longer
it's like,
commercials that are
why?
like a few minutes long. I don't know why.
Like 30-second commercial? Like why waste your time? Like why do that?
I don't know, but
don't understand.
it made it 5,000 times longer than it should have been.
Yeah. Of course.
It was awful. So, The Exorcist, came out in 1973, directed by William Friedkin.
Yes.
Screenplay and the novel were written by William Peter Blatty. It's an interesting name.
It is.
And it was starring Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Katie Wynn, Jack McGowran, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair.
Yeah.
So I feel like the top ones that we really need to consider: Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, um, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair. So they were like the main characters. The other ones are kind of like side characters. But Ellen Burstyn played Chris McNeil. She was the mother of Reagan, played by Linda Blair. Max von Sydow was Father Marin, the Exorcist.
Yes.
Who was only in it for like a fraction of the movie.
Yeah.
He was there in the beginning for a few minutes.
Yeah.
In the end.
Well, I mean, they had to pull in the big guns.
Yeah.
And only that were needed.
This is true. And then Jason Miller playing Father Karras, the kind of he's the priest that's losing his faith.
Yes, which, was perfect for the demon.
Yes. Which I think kind of like I guess Christian belief was saying that someone like Father Karras couldn't have been possessed by the devil because he has the Holy Spirit in him. And so I guess that going by that logic, this 12-year-old child,
Reagan was just open for evil.
a hotbed for the demon. And I find that kind of funny, but especially like with going off of the fact that Father Karras is supposed to be a priest losing his faith.
Yeah.
So I guess the Holy Spirit was still with him. He's like, I'm still with you, bro. And Father Karras was like, I don't think you are.
It was a huge test of his faith, like going through that of like, oh shit, I guess you're still here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't question this. Oh man. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think the movie is iconic. I remember growing up, my mom not like desperately not wanting me to watch it, and she was like, she saw it in theater, scared the ever living shit out of her. She's like, I slept with like the Bible under my fucking pillow for like months, like just petrified of the whole thing. And yeah, when I was a kid, I watched it. I was like, pissed my fucking pants. Like it still scared the shit out of me
To this day?
to this day. It creeps me out.
Oh, man, no.
It, I mean, of course, aside for like the pea soup scene.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like we were talking in the last episode, you think I'm dead inside, so
Yeah.
I didn't really react. But
like when you were younger, like how old were you when you first watched it?
I have no idea. The only scenes that I recalled were the exorcism
Like
scenes.
the end, not the possession one. Like when she's
Part
first
of
possessed.
no, I remember her peeing on the carpet. I remember the crucifix scene.
Oh
And I remember Your Mother Sucks Cocks in Hell and the pea soup scene. And I think at some point, I don't think I saw the director's cut, but I remember seeing the spider walk scene.
yeah. So I remember the spider walk scene was obviously like cut out of the original film. So the director's cut I think was released, I was saying 2000.
In 2000, yeah.
So I remember, my mom and I, like at that point, I was old enough to like, let's watch it together and be scared. So we rented it. We go to watch it, and both of us screamed like fucking ninnies. Pissed off my dad because he was sleeping. He comes running downstairs thinking that there's something wrong. We're just like, the spider walk. Ah!
Yeah, I did. I didn't. I don't know if I reacted in such a way even when I was younger. I don't know. Maybe I've always been dead inside. I don't remember reacting in such a way. I don't remember things affecting me like that. Like even watching it, I watched it right before bed, and I was thinking like, man, maybe it will affect me. And I was like,
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've just always been like sometimes a little bit of a scaredy cat, and I like to be scared. I like those kind of movies, but I think too, like growing up in a religious household, it takes a little bit of a different like effect.
Yeah, that might be one of the things is that I mean, I wasn't like I might have mentioned this before, like I was never raised as anything in particular, just raised to be like try to be a good person,
Yeah.
you know, the golden rule, do unto others and stuff like that. So my dad is a big um God believer.
Oh.
My mom, I think, I think, I don't know for sure, but definitely my dad. He would always say Borgia punishes, which is like Borgia is Polish for God, I
Yeah.
guess. And he would joke that I wouldn't get into the kingdom of heaven because of my tattoos and piercings. And I'm like, Dad, we're not Jewish. Um, and things of that nature. But yeah, I think that once I had, when I went to Jesuit high school, and that's when I learned about the Jesuit, like essentially Catholic religion and all that kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, this seems like a bunch of malarkey.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
No, I'm good.
I'm gonna sit with the Jews over here.
No, I don't know. I just, like I said, it's such an iconic movie. It was got banned in certain UK towns, like certain small towns over the UK were just like, this is blasphemy. This is absolutely, it's the devil. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no. So they would have like bus trips to the town over that was showing it to be like, let's go see it.
Yeah,
We
I
might
think
lose our soul in the process. It's great.
I think it's so funny. I also most of my knowledge of of this movie comes from the spoof of this movie, Repossessed, which also stars Linda Blair, but stars Leslie Nielsen as well.
Yeah.
And they kind of mimic a lot of the same they spoof a lot of the same scenes in
Yeah.
that movie than they do in this movie. There's no crucifix masturbation scene.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know if you can really get away with that in a spoof.
I mean, I'm surprised they got away with it in 1973.
That's the thing that kind of like
Like,
really surprised me. I
I'm
was like,
surprised
this
they got away
was
with that movie just period. Like, and not.
yeah. And the fact that like one of the so the famed movie critics Siskel and Ebert, um, I think it was Siskel. Did I mention Siskel
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah.
Siskel was like, I guess he was a very prudish kind of reviewer,
Yeah.
critic, and he did not like horror movies. He gave a thumbs down to Silence of the Lambs, which I think is ridiculous. But it's also I don't view that as a horror movie. I view that more as
A
like a thriller.
thriller. Yeah.
But he loved this movie. He's like, I guess he must be a big God believer. He's just like, oh, the religion and stuff like that, and all that kind of whatnot. And I think that they treated children very well. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like,
Yeah,
what?
this movie just in general, just making it like, oh my god, so many people got like severely injured
Yes.
making this movie. Like the lengths that they went to get the effects and stuff that they needed and
Mm-hmm,
wanted.
mm-hmm.
I'm surprised people didn't like quit.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I love, I think about older movies like this is that all of their effects they they
They did.
they did like, and they made them look realistic, I
Oh yeah.
thought, or like at least the way that they did them was really really good. And the fact, well, one of the only reasons that they didn't have the spider walk in the original cut was because the wires that they had the actress, the contortionist,
Oh yeah.
suspended on, they could not, they were visible in the original cut, and it wasn't until the technology came out where they could digitally
Remove it.
remove
Yeah.
them. That's why it came out in, they had it in the director's cut in 2000. But that's not like, that's the only reason that that was taken out,
Right.
or that wasn't in the original cut. But other than that, like all the other stuff, all the other effects are real. Like they had the special effects team like build them and all this kind of stuff, and they used like I just love that kind of stuff with old school
Yeah.
movie
I
making.
loved how like they because like there is in the beginning, I think before she starts like doing the flop on the bed. Mom goes in to check on her. I think it was
Yeah,
after the party scene, after she had like peed on the floor and her bedroom window's open.
yeah,
So she just kind of contributes that to, oh, that's why her room's so cold. But
yeah,
like throughout it, it just during like the exorcism part and even leading up to that, like just during the possession and it building, her room's always like frigid cold, and
Yeah.
they refrigerated that room.
It was a refrigerated set,
Yep, so it was always like 30 some degrees, but I guess it got
below 30.
what was it? Yeah.
Hmm.
We got to the point that where condensation built up a couple of times with the lights and whatnot, and it snowed.
Yes.
It snowed on set
So that's what
by accident.
but I love that. That's so cool. The fact that they didn't, like, there are movies that will, if they can't afford to be on set in like a colder location or whatever, just, it's not in
The budget.
the budget. There you
Yeah.
go. It's not in the budget to do so. They'll digitally add like the cold air,
Yeah.
breath, whatever. But this, you could genuinely tell that,
They weren't faking it when they
yeah,
looked
they
cold and
weren't.
shivering. That shit was real.
Yeah, so they had to keep the set cold so that the dry ice could actually add more of that kind of cold effect as well. So, and another thing that I find cool is that, like, the head that turns around like 360, it was a fake head, obviously, but it was a joke that they're like, well, what if the dummy head also was breathing cold air? And so the production team was like, oh my God, we're getting right on it. We're going to do it. So they made the dummy head have, like, when it would breathe, quote unquote, and it would breathe, you would actually see its breath.
It's so cool.
Which I think that's
Continuity,
cool. Like,
man.
yeah, they went above and beyond with all this kind of stuff. And, like, some of it was extreme. Like, they had Linda Blair, who was 12,
Yep,
14 at the time,
12.
whatever. There's a scene where she is just like flopping up and down on the bed. She's like, "Oh my God, make it stop! It's burning! It's burning!" She, I think, fractured her spine or something
Yep.
like that. And it's definitely believable when you see that. She literally is getting flipped and whipped around.
And like her bottom half's still.
Yes,
Like they
I
shot
am-
that shit down.
I am surprised that she was not a paraplegic by the end of it.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, like, but the thing. So there were so many things that went to so many different extremes. So there was that. There was Mercedes. Oh my God, what was her name? Mercedes.
Something.
Oh my God, Mercedes McCambridge.
McCambridge.
I'm such an ass. Mercedes McCambridge. She's an actress, but she was also a radio actress as well. Oscar nominated. She did the voice of Pazuzu, who was the actual demon possessing Reagan. She did the voice of Pazuzu, and she went all out to try to make sure that it was a truly demonic voice.
And
She
honestly, like I just always assumed that it was like somebody who kind of had like a creepy voice and then, like put through the ringer as far as like audio engineering and stuff like that to like kind of like morph the tape. Like I had no clue that was like just a genuine.
Well, I think originally they were going to use Linda Blair's voice and just alter it in like post production.
Yeah.
Which was the easiest thing, not the easiest thing to do, but like an option to do. And I think they did try that out. But there were certain scenes that the director was like, it just doesn't fit, it doesn't work. So they got Mercedes McCambridge, and she did all sorts of things to her voice. And one of them, she was trying to be sober because she was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I know what whiskey does to my voice, and this is something that I think will work. So she went off the wagon to get the voice to where she wanted it to be.
Along with drinking raw eggs and smoking, chain smoking.
Yep.
Just wow.
The gross, so gross. But sad thing for me is the version that I watched just mouthed the microphone for the 5,000th time. So, shitty thing for me was that in the TV version, so the version that they would put on, say, like AMC, with all the commercials.
Boo.
Boo. That is William Friedkin doing the voice.
Yeah.
The director doing the voice for Pazuzu, the demon. I'm like, because I was like, it definitely sounds like a dude. That's why. So I'm interested to watch the director's cut and see how that is.
Yeah. I think you should. You're definitely missing out on a lot of visually disturbing imagery and appropriate dialogue and just the vocals and everything. But I don't know. Like I said, I just like the movie from start to finish as far as like just the relationship between her and mom. Just trying to have the time with mom because mom's an actress while she's filming.
Yeah, and one of the things that like they kind of alluded to in the movie, and I think they explain more in the novelization. Oh, right, The Exorcist. This movie is based off of a book.
Yes, adaptation.
Yes. Um, but the book is also based on true events. They changed. It was like an actual exorcism that was performed on a boy, I think, back in the 1930s.
The 1920s. It was early
1920s?
early 1900s. I want to
Early,
say
yeah.
1920s.
So, and it was performed by two Jesuit priests, but it was the author changed up obviously the story a bit.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the priests had kept a journal and
Mm-hmm.
documentation of it. So I think some of it was based off of that was like actually published. And then of course, obviously, you got to take certain liberties to fill in the
Mm-hmm.
rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what was my point? I lost it. It was based off of an actual exorcism story
Oh, the
novel.
molestation of the
Oh, so
director.
yeah.
The director had molested Reagan.
Yes. So okay. Just backpedal.
Yeah.
Not the director of this movie.
No, Jesus Christ. No, I'm sorry. The
So,
fuck, sorry.
that's how rumors get started. In the movie, Reagan's mother is an actress,
Yes.
and
That
the
director.
director of the movie that she is currently starring in visits the house a lot. So in the novel, it is actually kind of like mentioned or more directly stated
Yeah.
that the director that her mother is starring in molests Reagan, and that's why she kills him. In the movie, The Exorcist, it's very loosely alluded to. Like
Yeah.
they don't really allude to it at all. It's just something that you can infer by the fact that this guy was in her room and then he was dead.
Yeah, because there's no point of him really going in there.
Yeah. And like later on, the lieutenant of he was a detective. He actually came and talked to Reagan's mom and was like, so, he was in a room. Did he have any reason to be in there? Was there anyone else? Because like they're trying to narrow down who killed him because his head was completely twisted
Yeah.
all the way around.
Which I think they attribute to him falling down the flight of steps, but even so, they were still kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're like, it's a very slim chance that it could have happened in the fall. So we're thinking that he was murdered and then thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And she kind of sort of Reagan, when she's possessed, kind of sort of says it.
Yeah.
Um more alludes to it, but like it's more of an inference throughout like that the audience can make.
Yeah.
It's never actually stated, but I guess it is something that is addressed in the novel. It makes complete sense, and I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, maybe they thought, oh, it would be too much.
That's gonna be the one thing that pushes this movie right over.
Yeah, that's what did
Not
it.
the masturbation with the
Not
crucifix. Not
and then
that.
taking her mother's face and putting it
Yeah.
there. That didn't do it.
No.
But the molestation would have. But psychologically, it would explain a lot.
It would. It absolutely would.
It would be why that was the other thing I was going to mention. So, if you have that trauma that happens to Reagan, also the trauma of her father
Yeah.
leaving
And
her
just
and her mother, and that's kind of why she's looking for a father figure
in
and
Howdy.
in Mr. Howdy,
Yeah.
who is the demon. But that's kind of why she ends up summoning Mr. Howdy.
Yeah. She
Is
has
because
basically she has a lot of time by herself and like she had like a kind of babysitter slash nanny type younger girl. That was kind of like, I think, her mom's assistant.
Sharon?
So yeah.
Yeah.
But like, dad left, has really no contact, and there was that scene where mom, like, she's on the phone arguing with dad, and she's mad because it's Reagan's birthday.
Yeah, and he didn't call.
Like, call, no card, like nothing. So and mom's filming a lot. She's
Mhm.
working, so Reagan's alone a lot. She has a lot of time, like, by herself. So it's goddamn Ouija boards laying around, and one thing leads to another, and now your friend's inside you
Yeah.
with them all the time.
And not inside you in that way.
Oh yeah,
We got to be careful with how we say things.
yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I said, I just think the vocals that they did and the sound effects that they did for the demon, like, it just, oh god, it still gets me every time. Every time. And, like, even like I said, even watching it now, like, when she runs up those steps and you could just hear her screaming, like, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I know exactly what she's gonna see walking through that door, like that bed shaking or her, like, going up and down, and it still gives me the heebie-jeebies every time.
Yeah. No,
Every time.
I felt nothing.
God, you did.
I must be, because I was just like, all right. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Weird.
I mean, obviously, like, the her vomiting on the priest, like the pea soup thing, which was a mistake. Apparently, it was supposed
Oh,
to hit him in
yeah.
the chest,
Yeah.
and it malfunctioned and hit him in the face.
So his reaction was genuine. Like, he was legit, like, mad.
Oh yeah.
And later on, when they're doing another, like, pea soup incident, he's, like, hiding behind one of the bedposts so that he doesn't get hit.
He did
Oh,
not, like I said, I don't think anybody had a good time on that set. Like, that was just everybody left, like,
no.
psychologically scarred or physically scarred or both.
Yeah, I think a fair mixture of both. I, like, Linda Blair is just like, I can't fucking stand being cold anymore. She violently disliked the pea soup so much that she actually vomited.
She hated veggies. So they were just like,
Yeah.
here's some pea soup that we're just gonna, like,
Yeah.
cram in there, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of, like, controversy surrounding the movie as well. Like, Mercedes McCambridge, she originally didn't want to get credited, but
Yeah.
then, like, going through all of that, she's like, nah, I want credit. And but between her and the body double that they used for Reagan,
Yeah.
for Linda Blair, the body double was used as the white demonic face that you would see flashing throughout
Yeah, and it
the
was
movie.
originally, like, I think they were thinking about using that as the makeup originally, and they chucked that idea, but then
Mhm.
used that as the,
Yeah,
like,
as
little
like the
blips.
flashing image. But she was also a body double during one of the vomiting scenes. I think it was the scene where, like, Father Marin is, like, holding her head down, and yeah, and like the vomits, like, coming out onto the bed and
Oh,
onto
okay.
his, like, stole thing. Yeah, so she was used for that, and the director's like, well, you were in it for like a
2
minute
seconds.
maybe,
Yeah.
so he didn't give her the credit. I would give Mercedes McCambridge the credit, definitely,
Oh, hell
because
yeah.
but
They made the whole movie, like, without
yeah,
that voice, like,
but I think the director wanted to kind of, like, nail down an Oscar nod for Linda Blair,
which she got.
which she got, but because of the controversy surrounding that, it cost her the nomination, and it
Yep.
cost her actually getting the Oscar.
Because it wasn't 100. I mean, it was, and I understand, like, it wasn't 100% her,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, like, to be fair, she still had to actually, she had to physically act. It just wasn't her
Yeah.
voice. So I think she should still get, and to be fair, she was, like I said, 12 at the
12.
time. I think
Yeah.
she did a very good job. But at the end, they're like, her mom's like, she doesn't remember anything. I'm like, so you got a lot of explaining to do, because she's got mutilated genitals
Yeah.
from that. She's fucking covered in bruises and cuts and all this kind of stuff. And now you guys are just randomly leaving DC. And mom's no longer gonna be an actor. Like, what? There's so much explaining to do. What was the last thing she remembered? Does she
Right.
remember the molestation? Does she remember any of this stuff? Like, I have questions. I needs answers.
Watch the second movie.
And did you see the second movie?
It's like once. It's been a long time.
Does it answer all these questions?
I think like I said, I don't really remember a lot of it. I do remember, I think, her going to see a doctor and doing like hypnosis, I think, to try to like remember what had happened.
I would.
And that's about all I remember from the movie.
But not only that, like, so there were two people that presumably died. Father
But
Marin
yeah.
and Father Karras, who apparently did not die, because he comes back in Exorcist 3. But still, the police had to get involved. Like I said, the detective, the lieutenant, was thinking that the daughter did kill
Yeah.
the director, Burke Dennings. So now he's just gonna let them go. And then there was another dead body in her bedroom. Like, I need to know.
Like
There was no
how
like,
they wrap that
yeah,
up
there
and
was
like
no
get out.
closure. They
Yeah.
just kind of end it. I had the same issue with the fucking how they ended House on Haunted Hill. They're just stranded at the top of the house now.
Somebody will eventually get them.
You would think that the house being haunted would just fucking let that shelf die.
Let it go.
I can't. I need to know. I think this is why my logical fucking Scully brain is just like, nah,
I'm not even gonna
not
go there with
believable.
that.
What?
No, we're moving on from that.
What? What? What's wrong? What?
I feel like it can't just be that.
What's your other argument?
I
That
feel like
I'm
it can't just be your logical brain. Otherwise, you wouldn't like all the other fantasy shit that you watch and read.
yes, it's escapism. I
You're
can
just
escape
very
to this.
particular with your escapism.
I would rather live in a magical fucking world where there's unicorns than a horror-filled
I'm saying, so I'm
scare
saying
ride.
you're particular about your escapism. It's not your logical brain. It's not your lizard brain or Scully brain. You're just particular about your escapism.
Nah, I'm saying it's my Scully brain.
No, shut up.
Yeah, it's Scully.
Anyways,
Go on.
I don't know. I love the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, you need to fucking watch it. And you should watch the director's cut.
Definitely watch the director's cut. Do not, for the love of all that is cute and fluffy in this world, watch the AMC version of it.
No, it's
Because
a waste of time.
it's one of my biggest pet peeves watching movies on TV. And I just kind of hoped because I've been watching the show Magicians,
Yeah.
and Magicians is a show that's on Sci-Fi. It was a Sci-Fi show, and Sci-Fi is a channel that you can get.
It's cable.
Yeah, it's cable.
Just general cable. Nothing special about it.
And this show is not even a show that's on super late at night. And the things that are in this show,
They
I
get
was
away
just
with
like,
a lot.
oh
I don't know
my,
how they get away with it.
I was like, oh my god. So I was just kind of hoping that when it showed that AMC was an option, that this would have been like, oh, this is, since AMC is mostly a channel that adults
Yeah.
watch, why the fuck would children be on this goddamn show?
I just think though, like the type of content though is so brutal and like extreme. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of forced to cut out a good chunk of it. Like it's pretty obscene, some of the stuff that you see and hear, and like some of the stuff that she says. Like
Yeah.
and again, like I feel like anything that's based around religion.
Okay, so I'm laughing. Okay, so one of the iconic lines that I remember is, "Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis." That's what I remember.
I mean, it's
And
the
you
line that
know what
sticks
they
out.
said? Your mother sucks in hell.
I mean, what else are you gonna edit it to? You know?
And it's so funny. Your mother sucks in hell. Ah. Like it's so funny to me. It's laughable. It's laughable.
It is. No, that's why you can't. Again, that's why you can't watch stuff like that when it's edited to death. And I mean, I feel like that. Like I said, I think anything that has to do with religion, which is what again, which is main reason why this movie was so controversial. You know, what I mean, again, like the crucifixions, like just what they do and
It was a
how they
lot.
address, like like just religion and God and the Catholicism. That's what I was looking for. Is it was risque stuff, especially back then. I mean, They had for 6 months after filming, they had to give Linda Blair bodyguards because she was getting death threats from certain
Which
religious groups.
I find so ridiculous. Anyone that gives death threats to an actor, I just want to shake the shit out of them. Be like, this is not the person they're betraying. The reason you're so mad at them is that they did a good job betraying portraying the person that you fucking hate.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that, and then I also think it's the fact that like they would do a movie like this. That they would even put this out there.
Like I don't get the death threats in general, but like if you want to be mad at someone, be mad at the fucking author,
Yeah.
be mad at the fucking director, the production company. Go stand outside the Warner Brothers lot and yell into the abyss. Why?
Yell while they're like laughing at you, counting their money.
Counting their millions of dollars that they've made off of this movie.
Yep.
So that's like, but it is a good story. It's an interesting, I don't feel like there is really any lull. Like there isn't, I don't think there's
No.
any kind of point where you're just like, oh my God, get
I
on
feel
with
like
it.
I feel like once it picks up in the beginning, which is pretty quick, it doesn't stop. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't let you go.
Like in the beginning, I was just like, why are we in Iraq? What the fuck is going on? Am I watching the right movie? Like I got very confused, and then they got into the story. I was like, oh, okay. I recognize Linda Blair. Now we're
No.
good. Now we're good. But it was I feel like it is a good story. It's definitely worth watching. Definitely worth watching the director's cut.
Oh, side note real quick before we wrap up.
Yes.
So, we're saying like how once it starts to pick up it doesn't stop. So
Mhm.
obviously in the beginning they don't call him priest right away, right? Like she takes her to the doctors. We'd mentioned earlier the procedure
Oh yes,
that she was
yes, yes,
getting
yes.
done. So, where they were filming at, like the x-ray techs and like the radiologists and stuff were
Oh yes,
real
this is.
they were real staff
Mhm,
members, they were
mhm,
real
mhm.
people. And one of them turned out to be a serial killer in real life.
An actual, legit serial killer. He
Yes.
was convicted after the movie wrapped. The movie like was released. He was convicted of a murder of I think.
6?
Well, he was convicted of one murder,
Oh, yeah, that's
and he
right.
bragged about
I think
killing
6 more.
6 more people in jail, but he was never convicted for those
That's
murders.
right. Yeah.
But the story of that was the story of the basis of a movie that William Friedkin did later on in 1980, I
Yeah.
believe, the
Yeah.
Cruising. So that was based off of the Bag murders.
So bad. So bad.
I can't really. That is so mundane. Like the
It's
Bag
just silly.
murders.
It's just
But yeah,
silly.
so the and you would I would feel like you take something like the Bag murders and you can interpret it so many different ways, but they called it was more it was kind of similar to what happens in the first season of Dexter,
Yeah.
where they think that it's the Bay Harbor Butcher, but it's the Iceman
Yeah.
killings. No. Bay Harbor
No.
Butcher actually did. Yeah, Dexter actually being the Bay Harbor Butcher
Right.
takes bodies, dismembers them, puts them in bags, throws them in the ocean. But this guy, what he did was that he took bodies, dismembered them, and threw them in the Hudson River. So he was kind of Manhattan's
Bay Harbor
Bay
Butcher.
Harbor Butcher, Hudson River Killer. Why couldn't they call
Yeah.
him that?
Right. Yeah. Whoever came up with that name fucking suck.
Like you're out of the serial killer name game. Like you're voted off the island, dumbass. Anyway, watch The Exorcist. Very good classic. Um, if you are one to be creeped out and on that kind of shit, I think it's a good one. Or even if you are like me and you are dead inside, it's a pretty good movie in general.
Yeah. Check it out. It's a classic. You should watch it just because it's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Do it up.
So that concludes our spoopy movins.
Movins?
Spoopin. I'm malfunctioning. I can't do it anymore. There we go. This concludes our spooky movies for the month of October.
Yes. So Jen can be happy now and not be so pissy that we're doing these movies.
I haven't been that pissy. It's just been moments where I've been like, it's just I'm dead inside and I need happiness to make it come back to life. Kinda. Anyway, we have since started our Buffy series.
Yeah.
That makes me come alive.
Yes, it does. Makes me very happy too.
Yes. So stay tuned for that and stay tuned for the next bunch of episodes that we're going to have for the month of November,
Yeah.
which I know Jess is super excited for. Don't let her heavy sigh and face of disappointment fool you. She is excited.
Am I?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
I say I can't do that.
All right. We each have our strengths and our
Yeah.
weaknesses. Anyway, so in the description box down below, we will have linked all of our social